And let's begin with Pakistan, which says India is jeopardizing regional peace through its war hysteria. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says the use of cluster bombs by Indian security forces against civilians along the line of control is a violation of international laws. Qureshi has urged the international community to take notice of the Indian atrocities. The Indian Army has intensified ceasefire violations along the line of control and is targeting innocent civilians with artillery using cluster ammunition. Meanwhile, the All-Parties Hurriyat Conference chairman, Syed Ali Gilani, has called for support from the Muslim world. Gilani said India is planning to launch a genocide in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Earlier, New Delhi sent more troops to the valley. And now for more on this, we have Syed Fakhar Imam, who is the chairman of the Special Committee on Kashmir. First of all, Mr. Imam, welcome to Indus News and thanks for your time. So first of all, I do want to ask, why do you think India is resorting to these ceasefire violations so consistently, even since US President Donald Trump wanted to mediate this issue?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Imam, are you able to hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you. Can you please repeat your question?
Yes, of course. So, Mr. Imam, my question was, why do you think that India is resorting to these ceasefire violations so consistently, even since US President Donald Trump wanted to mediate this issue between us?
Well, I think the Indian government is like normal. It's had this kind of very rigid, narrow-minded concept of its position on Kashmir. It's been totally intransigent, and they have taken always extreme positions, and the UN General Resolutions of 48, 49, which asked for two things. One was plebiscite, the other that's disputed territory. Now that twice President Trump has said, once he has said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had asked him to mediate and arbitrate. The words are mediate, arbitrate. He said he was ready. And then there was a contradiction by the Indian polity across the board. But to date, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not said a word. And now President Trump, day before yesterday, has again reiterated his stand that he's more than willing to be the mediator, provided both countries, India and Pakistan, want it. So he has reaffirmed his resolve to act as arbitrator, mediator, provided the two countries ask for it. Obviously, in his first interview, he had said that it was Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, who'd asked him. So Mr. Trump did not do it suo motu on his own. It was at the instance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he took up this case and put it across in the international media. And he has again, as I said, reaffirmed and confirmed this. So now that the Indians are acting as they have always done, in this way that they try to put pressure on the LSC. They have martyred many of our people, but we have always given them a befitting response. Our armed forces are fully alert, as they were when Pulwama attack took place, and you saw one of the Indian aircraft was shot down and one of the pilots captured, who was then released 48 hours later. So Pakistan is, I think, is fully in the picture. Strategic institutions are in position, and their morale is always high. But the Indians constantly are showing the world that they don't care anything. And these two reports which came out, the UN Human Rights Commission has put out two reports, one in June 2018, the other one in July 2019. And these reports have said that they've listed the kind of human rights violations the Indian government has carried out in Indian-held Kashmir. It's amazing how they've got away with too long. And it's taken more than half a century for the United Nations Human Rights Commission to even come up with such a report. But the good thing is that at least they have come up. They've come up last year. And when they said that the inquiry commission should visit both sides, the Indian government has completely refused, and in fact has used some very harsh and strong language against this report, because they are guilty. This is why they, as one sees in other countries where such things happen, and people.
Right, well, Mr. Imam, I mean, we do know that India has been using cluster bombs recently on the line of control. What do you think will be the repercussions of the now consistent ceasefire violations again?
Well, obviously the people there, you see, but when they go ahead and these cluster bombs that they have used, this is against the Geneva Convention. So they are doing things which are totally illegal. They are doing things which have absolutely no recourse of any kind of law. No international agency would ever give India that. But now they are being publicly exposed, and I think the kind of insecurity and instability that they have created in the whole of South Asian region, the Indians are responsible for that. And I think this is why perhaps Mr. Trump probably thought that now that the agreement between the Taliban and the American government and hopefully the Afghan government...
Right, Mr. Imam, also, I mean, will Pakistan now raise this into the international, because this is a violation of international law, will Pakistan go to the international forum and contest this?
Sorry?
Will Pakistan go to the international law, because this is a violation of international laws as well?
We can examine how to actually, to which forum we should go to, but we obviously would be looking at it. And now, next month, there is this annual session of the UN General Assembly. Prime Minister Imran Khan will be leading the Pakistan delegation, and I'm sure that Kashmir will be on top of the agenda for Pakistan, where they will, what the Indian atrocities have done, the kind of mass killings they have done, and the kind of rapes of women, and the kind of things they have done against the children of Kashmir, will be there in front of the global community, who will be many heads of government, many heads of state, senior officials will be representing those 195 nations affiliated to the UN, and this will be raised at the highest forum.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fakhar Imam, for joining us. Viewers, this is a very, it's an ongoing issue between Pakistan and India for so many years. And let's go back to the Pulwama attacks. I mean, from there we saw a war hysteria basically ignited within India, and of course their media was very, engaged in that. And now Mr. Donald Trump, fast forwarding to now, Mr. Donald Trump has actually stated that he does want to mediate this issue between Pakistan and Kashmir. And as Prime Minister Imran Khan from Pakistan has always stated that if India takes 1 step toward Pakistan, Pakistan will take 2 steps towards them. But it seems that India just doesn't come to the table. I mean, we have talked about how Kashmiris have been facing so many atrocities by the Indian occupation forces. I mean, Kashmiri youths are martyred every day. Women, children, and men alike are all facing such a difficult situation within the occupied Kashmir. And of course, hundreds of thousands of people have been stated that they have been martyred in this conflict. And from India, there's been consistent ceasefire violations on the line of control, as we were just mentioning. And of course, the government of Pakistan has always invited India for talks on the Kashmir dispute. But India, again, doesn't seem to come to the table. As Mr. Fakhar Imam was saying, the UN resolutions came up in 1948 and 1949, where the UN actually awarded a plebiscite to the area. And now let's move on now